Welcome to our virtual safe space. Excited to be here. I'm Milla Dalbem, Sacred Feminine Specialist, and today is the last live from our warm-up series, which had 3 lives. And today's the last one. We're going to be talking about harmony, menstrual harmony. So menstrual, how to make peace with our cycle. How to make peace with our menstrual cycle. It is. So how to make peace with our cycle. And was part of the 3 series for our warm-up for our main workshop, which is unlocking our power, a journey into the womb, where we're gonna make peace with our menstrual cycle, with our menstruation, and especially with our body, reconnecting us with our body, and that will make us to love being a woman, to feel empowered as a woman. So here we are for the third one, and I really invite everyone to join me for the webinar, which is going to be happening on Thursday. And if you haven't signed up yet, the link is on the description of this video. So I'm really excited. I've been working a lot for this, putting a lot of effort, putting a lot of love, and will be really amazing. So I want to know from you that watching me if you have had struggle with PMS and cramps at any point of your life. I had struggled a lot with this in the past, and luckily I don't. I don't have any problems with this anymore, and that's why I'm here to share everything I know about this, so more and more women do not go through a hard moment with their periods, with their cramps, with their PMS, which is really hard for us to suffer this. That is something that affects our life physically because we get sick. If we some women, they have a very strong PMS, and they have a very strong cramps, especially at the first, second, third day of their cycle, and we don't deserve to go through this. It should be something natural. I know that someone in the past on my direct message asking me if that was normal for some women to feel cramped, to feel a lot of discomfort on their PMS time, and the answer is no. That's not normal. It shouldn't be normal. You should investigate why, but especially, we should understand also the emotional reasons that holds it. And that's what I'm bringing in here. So why am I talking about PMS and cramps at the same time? I understand that one thing walks together with the other one. For example, a woman that has a lot of cramps on her period, she tends to become anxious. So a week before, once her body starts to feel the descendants of the hormones, and it start to have prostaglandins, which is a hormone-like molecule in the body of this woman already start to tell her, oh my god, something bad is going to happen. It's going to happen. And this makes this woman to already start the body itself. Sometimes it's not even mental. It's not even like that she wanted to think of that. It's not something that she rationalized. It's something that she feels it. Like her system is like that. We're gonna go through this again. So that's why I'm talking about PMS and cramps together. And also, a woman that has PMS, she tends to have cramps because it means already her system, her body is inflamed. It means that her whole system is under stress. That's why talking about those two things together are important. That's also, we have the physiologic and emotional um, happenings, events that happens, they happen together. A cramp and PMS, it's never only physiologic, it's never only emotional. It's a real example on how emotions affects the body, and how the body is affected by the emotions, and like it's both ways. Hi Bella, I see you there. I see you, Maddie. Girls, any question you have, please send in this chat. Uh, I mean, I can't talk about everything that I want about the subject in just in 1 hour. I will explain few things, but it is send your questions, and that is a subject that we're gonna keep talking and talking and talking. Why am I calling it as a journey? Like, why do I like to mention sacred feminine as a journey? It is so many knowledge that should be passed for us like too long ago, and now we are building a knowledge. The transformations will happen with time. And girls here in the chat, I know you prove of how it is a journey. It's not enough one right of the womb that you go and suddenly you don't have your cramps anymore, or it's not one retreat that you go, that you attend, and suddenly you are the goddess from the sacred feminine. No, it's a journey. You build up knowledge. You build up. You pile all the information you are receiving, and you start to build it. Does it make sense? You need to learn, and then you need to practice the things you learn, and then you're gonna have one period, a second period, a third period. It's a journey, exactly because it's something like you're gonna learn, practice, and build up knowledge, pile up all the information you're receiving. Right, Bella? What do you tell me about it? So I will start talking about PMS. PMS is a premenstrual syndrome. They call it a syndrome because there are many symptoms. It's not one thing that happen separate. It's symptoms that are physical, emotional, I would say even spiritual. So that's why they call syndrome, because there's a many things happening at the same time for the same reason. What are the symptoms that you are struggling, like you having a very strong PMS, like you are under? Is every woman that has PMS? No. Being on your luteal phase, it doesn't mean that you have to have PMS. PMS is a syndrome. You have symptoms that shouldn't be happening or couldn't be happening. Not that shouldn't, because a lot of women has it. I had a little bit of PMS this month. 2 or 3 months ago, I had a very strong one, but I was going through a lot of stress and a lot of changings in my life, and I was learning how to deal with all those differences. So that was harder on me. But it's not that you have to have. It's not that all women will have a PMS, but it is very normal. Like, it shouldn't happen, but it does happen. And even though it's not natural, it's normal. Like, nowadays it's being normal when shouldn't be normal as well. What are we gonna experience if we are PMSing? Mood swings. It's a roller coaster. You wake up and you look okay, and then your roommate look at you and say good morning, and then you're like, good morning to who? Because not for me. Or then you walk inside your work, and then you're not in a good mood, but then someone gives you some chocolate, and suddenly you're like, oh, chocolate looks like the salvation of a PMS, of a woman PMS. Does everyone here struggle, like crave for chocolate when you're PMSing? Because I do. It's even one of the things that I track on my each month, because the days I'm PMSing, I have this urge to eat a chocolate chip pancake. It's incredible. Um, yes, chocolate. Yeah, but we're gonna talk about chocolate later. We shouldn't eat, by the way. But I do. It's one of the things that I use on my mandala for tracking my cycle. I do check on my craving for chocolate, because it's something that my body really asks on that phase. Irritability is something that also can be tracked, and it's something that really, really, really can helps us to notice that we are going through PMS. Fatigue, like, is the day they wake up and you're like, I am not going to the gym before work at all. Or you go to the gym and then you decide to lay down on your mat and then just be there. I have done that already, especially when I was doing exercise at Works, which is like exercise inside the sauna. I It was like 100% sure. When I was PMSing, I would lay down on my yoga mat, and my body just don't feel like he doesn't have energy to really do the exercises. It's incredible how our body can really communicate what's going through if we learn it, how to listen, how to pay attention, how to observe what's happening with our body. um, Bloating. And it's interesting about bloating because do not I never noticed about bloating before, but this cycle, I had some problems with bloating, and like I started having it. Like I felt like my intestines were different, and I never noticed, I never observed it, bloating, as something to track, but it is true. Incredible. It happened to me this month. Um, Headache. Does anyone here goes through a lot of headache on your period, like on your PMS? I I don't suffer from headache, even though I go a lot on mood swings and a lot of irritability, especially with Ben. Ben is my 4 years old. Like, I know I'm PMSing because the way I communicate with him, it changes like completely. Like I get completely out of the patient to explain things and be nice and be patient. It changed so much. Imagine how much it doesn't change it in a relationship. That's why I say, like, how important it is for a woman to learn about her menstrual cycle, like to learn how to track where you are, because it will affect your relationship. It will affect your how much you deliver at your job, how it will affect everything in your life. So that should be, I wish, actually, it's not that it should be, I wish for the day where every woman will know exactly where they are on their cycle, and that will make everyone's life better, because you cannot produce extra at your job in a week you PMSing, or if you're bleeding, but you can deliver a little bit more if you are on your follicular phase. You know how much you can deliver on your relationships. A few friends now, for example, we are on vacation here on Cape Cod, and this friend of us, there's this friend that she was coming, and we woke up and it was raining and she was tired, and she looked at me and I was like, don't be sad, but I'm not coming. And I will look at her like, girl, you're PMSing. Like, I, just don't go, like honor this. And that's beautiful, like to, can you see how it changed in the relationships? Because I know that, she knows that, and people around us knows this, so it gets easier for everyone else, like for everyone. Does it make sense? Did I talk? Another thing that can tell us that we are PMSing is breast tenderness. I do go a lot about breast tenderness. It's something that I really, really feels, and it's interesting. Some months it's worse, and sometimes it's better. But there are moments that even a hug, if someone hugs me, I'm like, oh, I'm PMSing. Like, I'm gonna cry just because you're hugging me and my breast hurt. So it's very interesting. It's something that tells me a lot about. And what, as close as I am for my cycle to start, for my menstrual cycle, from blood to come down, it feels like even the water hurts. Like when I'm showering, it's like, it's a very, very a big sign for me. Um, and cramps. Actually, a PMS, a woman can have PMS symptoms in a mild way, but it also can be very severe. Who can judge the woman that has a severe, and who can judge the woman that has a mild? No one. No one. Each woman is different. Each cycle is different, and your partner cannot make fun of it. I mean, if it's in a lovely way, yes, but it shouldn't be something that will be put at the table in a bad way, or especially it shouldn't be something that would bring you bad consequences. But we need to become aware, even for communicating our needs. And the symptoms tend to stop as the menstruation starts, because at the menstruation starts, we start another preoccupation, I would say like this, which is cramps. So normally the first day of the cycle, because we have like a lot of prostaglandins in our system. Prostaglandins is a hormone-like substance. It's a very similar to a hormone structure, but it's not exactly a hormone. And prostaglandins are responsible to squeeze our uterus so we can shed the blood out. And this substance also makes us to feel very, very inflamed. It makes us to feel like there is something rottening inside of us, because it is. We have like blood that's being released, and it's old blood. There was a blood that was supposed to feed a babe. Our womb, it's not receiving a babe, so it's holding some kind of grief. It's depending on the age you are. Even though your mind don't want to have a babes, physiologically our body cries for not having a baby. And there's an interesting story I'm gonna share later, and you're gonna understand where also comes from this grief that comes together with the menstrual cycle. So the uterus will be contracting to shed the blood, and it's triggered by this hormone-like substance, which is prostaglandins. That won't only affect your uterus. The prostaglandins also affect our back. So a lot of women also experience a lot of it, hurt on the back, like a back pain, um, lower back pain, a lot of dysfunctions on the intestines. So some women will get constipated, and many of the other women will might have like diarrhea, like especially at the first or second day, like it feels like everything's going out. The blood's coming out, poop is going out, everything's going out. And that's completely normal. That needs to happen because your body needs to put this blood out. So that will happen. What makes difference is the key for the whole process is how you deal with this, because this process of your uterus to contract, the prostaglandins, your hormones that went down, and you suffering because you don't have more this hormone that makes you to glow and feel empowered and attractive. Now you are probably feeling with low out self-esteem, you feeling bloated, you're feeling like awful because all this is happening in your system, and it needs to happen. Your body will release all those hormones, will release all those substances so the blood can be shed. It will happen. The question here is how you gonna deal with this. Since the cramps, since your womb will contract, since you will have all these hormones alterations, how you gonna deal with this is the key. Why this class is so important for us women? Because you can make conscious choices, you can make conscious changes on how you're gonna deal with the process. You can better pick what you're gonna eat to prevent inflammation or to stop inflammation. You can communicate where you are right now in life, and your relationships get much more stable, get much more secure, because the other person knows what's happening. They can predict, you can predict. Everything gets much more easy to navigate in the process. Life, the woman's life gets easier to be navigated, but also our partners, our boss, our friends, our community, everyone's life gets easier. And also you can change. Also you can change how you're gonna deal with all those things, and you can also learn how you can stop and how you can prevent those things. Let's start talking about how to change. First, here, the women that are watching me, do you struggle with PMS and cramps? How is the process for you? So there is a story that I want to share, since no one wants to tell me. But I guess, like, if you're not on contraceptives, once in a while, all of us will have PMS and cramps. Some of us will have worse. Some of us will have like more mild ones. We all go through. Stila say that she has headache and diarrhea. The headache, I really suggest for you to increase the water intake before PMS, before the cramp, before your menstruation starts. The intake of water really helps, and we're gonna talk more later about some things you can use for supplementation that also helps. Do you know the story of the first woman that had menstruation? Does anyone ever heard the story on how about the first woman that had her period coming? And I like to share this story because that already set up a pace. They already set up some belief systems that were created since the first woman that had her period. In the past, when women would live in tribes, in groups on nature, um, all of the women would have their fertile time at the same time. Okay, imagine that all women would start their fertile time at Easter. If I'm saying right, that would be around Easter time, which is a very fertile moment for nature. So imagine that in a tribe with like 20 women, all those 20 women would get fertile at the same time, and they would have a big party for celebrating life and abundance and fertility. And in this big party, all women on a certain age would have a sexual relationship with men in the tribe. They were not like couples. It was just like a big party. And feel like the results from this big party would be that all women from the tribe would get pregnant. And after 9 months, all those women would be having their babies. They would breastfeed for 3 months, and again, it's time for the party again. They would get pregnant all again. And the other year, again, they would have this big celebration for abundance. Then they would get pregnant, and then they would deliver, and then they would breastfeed, and then again, they would be ready for the big party again. One day, one beautiful woman decided, I don't really want to be part of this. And before this, women were seen as goddesses because the tribes, the men's would understand that since they have this big party and then they bring babes to the tribe, the women are goddesses because they are portals of life. So they are bringing life for the community. So they were understanding that women were very, very sacred. They were goddesses, and this was happening every year. But one day, a beautiful woman decided she did not want to participate on that. And she did not participate in this part. She didn't take place on this party. And after 14 days, she bleeded. The tribes, the other people from the tribe that were not happy that she did not participate, he started to call. They thought she was cursed, and they removed this woman from the tribe because she started bleeding. So they really thought, oh my gosh, she did not participate in the celebration and she's bleeding. So she's probably cursed by God, like from the male version of God, like from above version of the creation. So they removed this woman from the tribes thinking she was cursed. After 7 days, she stopped bleeding. And then they thought she had made some pacts or deals with bad energies. That's why she didn't die. So right now, here on this moment, can you see how much things they already put inside of the fact of a woman bleeding? And then also start calling her as a witch because this woman that survived for the curse that she was taking. So she thought she had an idea on not participating. She made her voice, and then she bleeded, so she was cursed, and then she survived it to the curse, and then she decided she went to live in the forest. And after that, she learned how to heal herself because she couldn't go back to the tribes where all the shamans, where all the healers, all the doctors would be. So this woman now, besides being cursed, she started to be called a witch. Can you see how much things were put on top of the fact of a menstruation? But if you stop to think, it's not that she was cursed. That's just natural. They just didn't knew this before because they didn't have knowledge to know that, okay, if you don't get pregnant on your period, you will bleed because their body needs to shed the blood. But different times, different knowledge, different conscious. Now we are working on having all those things changed. Tati saying, I don't have cramps. You bless a girl. I have once in a while, not always, but sometimes. Now, I want you to take a second or two to think about how was your first time that you had your period. Like how happened your first period at your house? How does your parents reacted? What were the things that your family told you? How was especially your dad? How did your father acted with you? What did your mom say to you as soon as you got your first period? You're gonna write this down, and we're gonna work on those memories at the webinar. Okay, we're not gonna go through right now to change the program, the belief systems that we have right now, because this live is just 1 hour, but we're gonna have time to work on this in the webinar on Thursday. So one more reason for you to sign up for Thursday, so we can work on the belief systems created on our first period. If you don't remember, Bella is saying, I don't remember my first period. That's one more reason for you to really sit and try to remember, to bring memories from your first period, because your memories from your first period can be, and they probably are, dictating to how you feel about being a woman, how you feel about your blood, how you deal with your menstrual blood, how you deal, if like, even it might be interfering on you having cramps or in you having PMS, because we pile up, also shown all those years until now, we pile up information, we are creating layers and layers and layers of knowledge, also from the bad things as well. So take a moment for this, write them down, and I'm gonna work on next during the webinar. So now let's talk what to do when you have cramps. What to do? Okay, I am a person that I have cramps. They bother me. For some women it bothers them much more. For some women bother much less. But what can I do if I'm having cramps? Like I am right now in this moment feeling cramps. What should I do? What can I do? First thing is to understand that when you're bleeding, you are letting go lots and lots and lots of emotions that you process it through your month, through your cycle. All those things, all those dramas you got involved in the month, all the things you worked with your therapist, all the things you worked on your plant medicine, on your plant medicine journeys, all the things you work at, they go straight to your womb, and they're gonna be stored there until your next cycle, until your next menstruation. So imagine that you have a womb that is full of emotions. If you are having attachment to something that happened, you very easily gonna have cramps, because cramps is like a child that you wanna to bring your child out of a room, for example, and they just get stuck like next to the windows, like here, and you try to go with them and they don't want to go, and they fight. There's a fight. This fight makes cramps much worse. So journaling is very, very, very important once you are bleeding. It's a way for you to see, to understand, to name your emotions, and then it helps you in the process of letting go of those emotions. Also, anti-inflammatory diet, it makes a huge difference. I was talking with this friend of mine a few days ago about menopause, and she was like telling me that she went through menopause like 2 years ago, I think, and she was telling me about how much we don't talk about inflammation. And every time we talk about eating or dieting, we always thinking about weight, about like, oh, I'm on a diet because I don't want to gain weight or because I want to lose weight. But dieting in a woman's health is very important, because if you are eating too much sugar, if you're eating too much processed food, if you are on a very inflammatory diet, that will make all the process worse, because prostaglandins, they work as inflammation. Your body understands prostaglandins as inflammation. So removing everything that creates inflammation, like removing sugar, or at least going lower levels of intakes of those things, and adding things that are very anti-inflammatory, will really help. What can I add on my diet if I am having cramps, especially if I'm having struggle if I struggle with very intense cramps? Curcuma, um, ginger, and lemon. I don't know if I curcuma is the right word in English. Is the yellow one? I forgot the name. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm saying the right one. It's the yellow one. It's very, very yellow and colorful. Make all food that you put that on become yellow. Um, Another thing that's really, really helpful with turmeric. Someone say yes, turmeric. So turmeric, lemons, and gingers are very, very special, very good for stopping inflammation. Heating, keeping your womb warm is something that really, really helps on cramps. I remember in Brazil, I used to have this dog. His name is Sheldon. He's a non-breeded dog, and he looks like as a sausage. He was like this, and he was a little bit fat. And every time I was having cramps, I would put him laying down, his belly with my belly, and that would warm up me so much, so much. It's amazing. So warm up. There are some pillows. There is one that I got, a friend of mine gave me once. It was like a teddy bear full of seeds of lavender, and you can put on a microwave, and then you can warm up and put on top of it. It really, really helps. Also, for avoiding cramps, there's something you can do to prevent, is always keeping your lower back warm and your feet always warm. So as a woman, for being taken care of, for preventing cramps, I do suggest to, like, some women has this, like, they like to use the pants and then like top, and having like half of the back exposed. I think it's beautiful, but that's not exactly the most I'm gonna say that it's not the most healthier thing for if you struggle with cramps. You can do it, but if you, let's suppose you're going to walk in Boston, at the center of Boston, and you know that Boston, it has a lot of like windy, and sometimes it's very cold. Avoid to have your lower back exposed, because it's not good. Like, it will increase your cramps. And also your feet. If you normally walk barefoot, and you step into um, and you step in a very cold floor, that's also not helpful for you if you have cramps. Mm, Another thing that helps a lot, like a lot, is connection with your blood. I used to have cramps before using the menstrual cup, but after I stopped using pads and I started using the menstrual cup, my cramps decreased like a lot. It's not exactly because of the cup. I don't believe it's because of the cup. I believe what changed with me using the cup is that I become aware of my blood. I created a relationship with my blood. Because when I was only using the pads, I would just remove it from my underwear, put it at the garbage, and there is no honoring. There is no honoring on the blood. But now we're using the cup, like I remove the cup, my hands gets dirty of blood, and then I learned that my blood do not smell bad, because when we use pads the blood will smell bad, but when we use the cup, because there is no contact with the oxygen, it doesn't smell bad. So you just remove and then you clean and nothing is smelling bad. And it's just like it changes so much my relationship with my blood, and then made me to have much less cramps. Another thing that helps with another thing that helps with cramps is cacao. But I am saying about cacao, not chocolate. Chocolate itself has a lot of sugar. There is a lot of butter, milk, and butter, milk, sugar will get all the prostaglandins even worse. The inflammation uh, filling the body gets worse. So chocolate actually, even though we are craving for it, it won't be helpful for with the cramps. But cacao, without sugar, without milk, without um, these types of fats, it's really really helpful because they release like this they call blissful cocktail, which is the raw cacao itself. When you use it together with cayenne pepper and cinnamon, it activates many neurotransmitters in our body that will bring like a lot of relaxation in the muscles in our uterus, and that helps like combating, avoiding, preventing cramps. Now, so now in my life, now since my life is like I have much more contact with cacao, I also have much less cramps. And my favorite, if you're having cramps, is to have an orgasm. I say that many times because it is something that really helps. If you struggle with cramps, try to put on your routine a way to have orgasm. Even if you don't have a partner, it's okay if you don't have a partner, but you can do it by yourself. If I know also many women, when we are menstruating, our energy is not to that. We don't have like libido, but giving yourself a orgasm or or having it with the help of other really helps with the cramps, really. So next time you suffering about cramps, remember about it. And what should I do if I'm having PMS syndrome? Like if I'm having a premenstrual syndrome, if I've suffered from premenstrual syndrome. First thing I would tell you to acknowledge, becoming aware that you are going through a PMS will help a lot, because once you started to be in a PMS, you acknowledge that you are PMSing and you communicate people around you. Just this movement already made you to prevent many other problems. And by preventing those problems, you don't get it worse. Because imagine, and that's so common, like we start to PMS, and then we start to become irritated, and then we start to have problems in our relationships, and then we start to become even more, even our self-esteem goes even more down. It's just like an endless cycle. So acknowledging PMS, it is definitely the first thing you should do. And communicating. Next time you should do if you're PMSing is to take time for yourself. It started to feel that you're PMSing. Remember that PMS, premenstrual time, lutein phase, it is for going inside of your cave. It is to journaling. It is for checking on how you are. So take time for yourself, go walk by yourself, go listen your music very loud on your car, driving the highway. I love doing this, but take time for yourself. And journaling, lots and lots of journaling. Change your diet. This is already the moment that you start increasing your water intake, your turmeric, ginger, and lemon, and also decreasing chocolate and all those other things that it's gonna make it worse. Milk and sugar and fat like butter. And also I suggest some supplementations on that phase. I would add magnesium, because magnesium helps a lot with it's a nutrition for the muscles. And even though our womb, it's not a muscle as our worm, it's also a type of uh, muscle. So I would increase magnesium. And if you can, tryptophan. Tryptophan is the same substance that we take from chocolate. Chocolate gives us tryptophan. If you're craving for chocolates, you're craving for tryptophan, which is this hormone. It's not a hormone, it's a substance that controls our moods, that makes us to feel happy, that makes us to feel balanced. Even saying all those things, okay, I know I brought a lot of things here, even as supplementation. I really need to remember you, even though you learn it all. If you're having too much cramps, if you suffer with like horrible cramps, if you go through a very, very bad PMS, always look for a doctor. It's not because you're learning about holistic approach for those things that you will not checking in with a doctor. Why I'm saying this, some women has a very, very heavy period and they have a very bad cramps, and some of those women might have endometriosis. I'm not saying for you that you need to go through the whole treatment, but you need to know if you have endometriosis, because it needs attention. Or if you have cyst or cells that are not good, that shouldn't be on your womb, like all those things will give you cramps. They all will make you your PMS to be much worse. So if you're having cramps and a very, very bad PMS, especially if they did not used to happen to you, please check with a doctor. Do all the approaches, holistic approaches, together with whatever they suggest to you. Deal. Um, okay. Some women, they are listening it all, and they also choosing to be on their contraceptives, especially because they used to have a very, very heavy pain, like a lot. They used to struggle with PMS and with cramps, and some women are choosing to be on contraceptives because of this. I have been there. And nowadays, I understand how much good for me is to not be on a contraceptive. I feel much more connected with my life. When I was using contraceptives, I used to not have any libido. I used to be depressed. I used to, I don't like this. The all the time it shows up, this thumbs up on YouTube. So I used to be a woman that I used to have depression. I was struggling a lot to find the purpose of life, my purpose in life, especially because I've nowadays I know I was having this struggle because I was on contraceptives. Women, as women, we are cyclical. Each 8 days we are in a different phase. We are a different person. We do produce different. We do have different needs. We are completely different people, person, by each phase of our cycle. And when we are on a contraceptives, it's like what the system calls stable. Okay, it is more stable if you're rationally thinking, but at the same time it's unnatural. I understand if you're still making the choice to be on the contraceptives for because life is happening. Each one of us have our different priorities. We have different perspectives. We have different wishes. But even if you are on a contraceptive, I really invite you to learn about menstrual cycle. I really invite you to learn how a feminine universe works because that is going to give you power. That is going to give you freedom to make choices. That gonna gives you information that, as I said at the beginning of this life, that will build up security on you, that will build up, will pile up informations that will make you to feel empowered to make decisions, to organize your life. So even though women, if you are on the contraceptive, I still invite you to learn about it. And even if you're not exactly gonna use for you because you good on the contraceptives, it's okay. But you can learn because you are women and it's part of women's sisterhood to support other women to learn like how even we gonna ask for our partners to understand something about us when we do not understand our physiology, when we don't understand our way to be, when we don't understand who we are. Does it make sense? And it's okay. Even if you're going to stay on the contraceptives, with time, you have this knowledge there in this box. You can open the drawer anytime and it is there. It's yours. My mom always told me the only thing that you're going to bring with you after you die is the things you learned. We're not going to bring our house. We're not going to bring our car. We're not going to bring even our kids. We don't bring none of those things with us. The only thing we bring with us is knowledge. And why we study so many things, why we seek for so many things outside, and we don't even look for inside of us. Why we don't put attention and love and affection on the fact that we are women, that we are cyclical, that we have all those universes inside of us. We have at least 4 universes inside of us every month. Oh, it's much easier to call a woman crazy. Because if I call a woman crazy, I don't have responsibility on anything. It's much easier. We remove power from ourselves when we don't know about our cycles. Okay. Now, I really, really want to invite you to sign up for the webinar. It's going to happen Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to go through so many things at the webinar. And if you are on contraceptives, I also invite you for the webinar. As I told you, we're going to work on the memories from our first period. We're going to work on many, many other things, especially emotions that we have, um, creating belief systems about our menstrual cycle. And we're going to work with those things. We're going to release many of those things. So if you are on a contraceptive, you're welcome. If you're not, you're welcome. If you like, I'm really calling on all the women that are ready to learn about women's health, women's power. If you're searching for autonomy in your life, come for the workshop. If you're coming to get your mind free from men belief systems about menstrual cycle, about relationships, like, this workshop is for you. If you still haven't signed up, sign up in the link below, and I will make one more request before we finish today. Please share this live with other women. All this knowledge I'm giving to you, I'm giving it for free. And I studied for years. I had years studying traditional Chinese medicine for women's health. I had years studying sacred feminine. I had years studying shamanism to understand cycles and nature, how nature works with us, inside of us. And I'm not asking for anything else besides sharing it. And I'm not even asking you to share this live, the other two lives that we have had, and just for me. I'm asking you to share it for more women to learn those things, to receive this knowledge. We should be learning those things at school. We should be learning those things from our OBGA. But no one is telling us about those things. Why? So join me, like, as a woman, we can be much, much, much more stronger when we work together. So if you learn just a little bit today, just a little bit with this live, please share it with more women. Okay? I hope everyone had a beautiful Sunday. And I'm very, very excited to see everyone on Thursday. Okay? Loves and blessings for everyone. May the goddess be with you.